About 4 years ago, I became seriously unwell, which resulted in me becoming bedbound. And I was initially diagnosed with ME, chronic fatigue. I had more tests and found out that I had Lyme disease and a couple of bacterial co-infections. I then embarked on a massive treatment course with antibiotics, which I've done for about the last 2 years, which got me from bedbound to being able to sit here like this. And I'm now sort of mainly housebound. I've had multiple courses of antibiotics, but every time I come off them, I start to relapse again. They make me feel a bit better, but the minute I stop, I start to relapse. And I wanted to find an alternative to antibiotics because I've done over 60 weeks worth of antibiotics. And I thought, enough is enough. They weren't making me better. They were simply sort of keeping my head above water in terms of my symptoms. Then I thought, I've got to do something else now if I'm going to stop antibiotics. I've been looking at hyperbaric oxygen treatment for a while. So I phoned up Oxify and started on the oxygen therapy. Well, initially I did 8 weeks, which was 5 days a week and then 2 days off, and I did 40 sessions, so it's quite intensive. For about the first 5 to 6 weeks, I have to say it made me feel worse, the exaggeration of my flu-like symptoms that I suffer from. But then, after about 6 weeks or so, I started to not have that unwell feeling after sessions. And the unwell feeling that I had before I even started, the flu-like symptoms, the feeling terrible, the headache, the nausea, the stomach pain, started to go. So not only did that go, the horrible feeling that I had after the oxygen started to go as well. That's called a Herxheimer reaction. That's quite common with Lyme disease. If a treatment is working, you get a reaction from the die-off from the bacteria. So that's a common reaction and nothing to be worried about unless it's really severe. But I got through that, the 5 to 6 weeks. It all started to lift and I began to feel better. It felt like someone had flushed out my brain with water. One of the symptoms was terrible brain fog and just headaches and just a real pressure in my brain. But that began to clear and it was quite amazing, really. I was thinking, wow. And since that 6 weeks, I haven't had that ill feeling. It's not come back other than I got a virus. But even then, normally a virus I could be laid low in bed for weeks and weeks. I was ill for a week with this virus. I bounced back much quicker than I ever used to. I still suffer from extreme fatigue. I can't walk very far. I have to use a wheelchair. I'm only out of bed for a few hours a day doing a light activity, which is just things like showering and stuff. But I think I'm going to carry on with the hyperbaric oxygen treatment. And what I hope that if it can keep me stable, like I have been for the last few weeks, that eventually my fatigue will start to get better. That will be the next stage. I'm very hopeful and very optimistic, and I'm absolutely thrilled that I've found something that gives me the same effect as antibiotics. You know, it's at the start of my journey with hyperbaric oxygen, but I've got no intention of stopping. I think what's happened so far has been amazing, and I feel extremely positive about it. I've tried so many different treatments for my Lyme disease, and the only one that's really helped is antibiotics, but it was just not a long-term solution for me. Apart from antibiotics, it's the one thing that's had a noticeable major effect. You know, you start to, not that I lost hope, but you start to run out of options for treatment. You know, the medications that I take, apart from antibiotics, don't seem to really do the full job. I mean, they're possibly helping, but the Herxheimer reaction, it was a good indication that it was actually doing something. To me, it was a positive sign. You just have to get through the horrible feeling. But quite frankly, when you've got Lyme disease, you're used to feeling awful anyway, so it's just more of the same. I've never been able to maintain stability in the last 4 years since I've been very well. I've never been able to maintain enough stability to try and sort of build up my energy levels slowly. But if I can maintain the stability with the oxygen treatment, then, you know, in time, I'm hoping that my energy will gradually increase as my body sort of rights itself. I do 90 minutes and I did it for the first 40 sessions was, yes, 90 minutes, 5 days a week. Then I dropped to 3 days a week for 2 weeks, and now I'm going to do 2 days a week and see if I can maintain how I am just on that. I signed up to Spotify, which I haven't done, so I've been really enjoying listening to lots of music that I haven't heard for a long time. I listen to audiobooks, text people. We've even done online shopping, things like that. Yeah, I've got some noise cancelling headphones which are quite good. You can read a book in there. Or just some days, you know, because of my illness, I'm very tired all the time. I just relax. I just lie back and I just do nothing and just relax. Yeah. I'd say definitely give it a go, definitely. Some people might feel a little bit claustrophobic at first, and that's understandable. And even I did a little bit on my first session, but you get used to it. You soon, very quickly, even by the second session, I was used to that enclosed feeling. And yes, it's quite straightforward, and you soon learn to equalise your ears, and you can always ask to sort of go down to pressure slower if it affects your ears. You know, you can have it adapted to how you are. It's not a painful experience or anything like that. It's just it's a nice experience.